Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode. It is Thursday, December 15th, here for the Investing Bros, and I'm so glad every single one of you are here. Whether you are from the East Coast, now you've been up for a couple of hours. If you're in the West Coast and you're getting up 6 a.m. or anywhere any more drastic, I don't know how many people live. I guess if you're checking in from Hawaii, wow, that's right in my ears. There we go. Muting the screen. Did that play out on the show?
It was a prank.
Oh!
An intentional prank.
Prank! There we go. I love it. Well, we got a lot to talk about in the show. Of course, we're always going to be doing some technical analysis, but major headlines. Obviously, yesterday was not only the Fed announcement, but really, really interesting remarks from Kevin O Learly. But something that I think is more important right now, and maybe not more important, that's probably the wrong way to put it, but something I found very interesting that you guys are seeing in that title. There is actually some information very interesting that you guys are seeing in that title. There is actually some information based off of on-chain analysis that the whales could be giving us a signal about the bottom. You don't want to miss a single part of the show. My name is Tim. I'm the host for the show. If you guys are new here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this, minus the pranks all the time. You know, sometimes we prank, sometimes we don't. I'm joined by T-Shroom over here across from me. How are you doing this morning, T-Shroom?
Well, I'm doing really, really great, and I'm here to celebrate.
Hey, he's breaking out the rhymes. There we go. I got a question before we get going. I want to engage with chat here in just a second and get their answer on this too. So as we're kind of going in this next season, first of all, great time to be accumulating more Bitcoin, but that means you need more cash. We're probably also in a recession or heading for a recession. The question is the severity and what your definition of recession is. So what are some things that you're doing, T-Shroom, to prepare yourself to accumulate more crypto or stocks and at the same time prepare yourself for recession?
Well, I'm staying liquid.
Yeah.
I'm staying liquid as I can. I'm not really doing a whole lot of buying at these levels in stocks or crypto. I'm staying liquid just because I think that there is going to be more shoes to fall, whether it be with Genesis or more stories and more breaking around FTX. Hopefully nothing around Binance.
Yeah.
Although it seems like, you know, certain individuals that we'll get to later in the show are pounding on the door of Binance, trying to get something that can show some unsturdiness going on over there. But I think that there's going to be at least one or two more legs down in the price of Bitcoin. So I am nibbling here and there, but I'm mostly just trading, doing short-term trades in natural gas. And I know that that's not the sexiest thing coming, you know, from somebody who's, you know, so crypto educated. You know, I also have been trading Matic a little bit here and there, but it's not anywhere near as much as natural gas.
Here's the thing about sexy trading. If it's green and profitable, then I think that qualifies as sexy trading.
Yeah.
I don't think it really matters what you're trading, but if you're making money doing it, then that would qualify.
Good morning, Elliot Locke.
Yeah.
Said, good morning, Bod. I read it as a kind of Canadian accent. Good morning, Bod. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, the purpose of trading for me is to get, you know, more and more liquidity so that I can purchase Bitcoin.
Yeah,
pretty much Bitcoin exclusively, a little bit of Ethereum too. Well, I shouldn't say Bitcoin exclusively. Actually, I've got a whole bag of alts that I'm looking to DCA on here pretty shortly.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that. I'm interested in that because there are, you know, I think that especially as this bear market continues to go on, I think people with what they're thinking of altcoins they want to DCA into, that list is probably shrinking. And we've talked about that coming into the bear market, let alone now here at the bottom of it or close to the bottom at least. A lot of coins that people have been raving about for the last 2 years might not even make it into this next bull market. So it will be interesting.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm doing very practically is, you know, technically the price of them is still going up, just like everything else. Thank you, inflation. Eating a lot of eggs, you know, saving money. I like to eat a high protein diet. Man, it's hard. It's hard to get a lot of protein in a healthy way and keep a decent budget. So eggs have become my new best friend. A lot of meals, scrambled eggs, poached eggs, boiled eggs, you name it, we got it. It's going to be great. Let me know in chat, what are you guys doing right now as you guys are preparing, A, to buy more Bitcoin, buy more crypto, and also preparing yourself for what a severe recession could look like. Let's check in with chat while we do that. I saw earlier in chat, we had Elliot Locke here. Josh Denham said some BS on CNN right now about crypto, saying it's a huge scam. And again, I replied there, but it's CNN, so what did you expect? It's kind of sticking on with that story. If Ben's gonna call Brian Armstrong Uncle Brian, I guess I should call her Auntie Elizabeth, right? Because we got the same last name.
That makes sense.
Auntie Elizabeth doesn't know anything about crypto, yet she has a loud voice. And so for those of you who do not know, she's trying to bring back a bill that would have know your customer on cold wallets even. So she wants like literally everything in crypto to have KYC. And it's absolutely ridiculous. It's not going to pass. But that's Auntie Elizabeth for you. Yeah. She ever since she found out that she was not a Native American,
right?
She's really been upset about a lot else.
It's been tough. It's been a tough month.
It's been rough on the whole family, honestly. All right, anyway, let's see who else is here.
23andMe is the worst thing that ever happened to humanity.
Oh my gosh. A mellow fellow is here. Good morning. Crypto Set Guy, Eric Brubaker. I already said Elliot Locke, Servando Estrada, Grand Roofie Incorporated, Crypto Mini Bike, T-Shroom's here, of course.
T-Shroom.
Cryptex is here. Eric Brubaker.
Shannon Sharp.
Eric Brubaker says he's being followed by me 3 times on Twitter. That's awesome, because I only have 1 Twitter account. But,
what?
It seems like someone else they love me so much, they wanted to create their own Twitter account to look just like me and then follow people,
Tim, I've been sending Safe Moon to you. I thought you've been wanting me to send you Safe Moon every month.
Gosh. All right. Who else is here? Welcome. Shannon Sharp is here. Mr. B is here. And CBD Suddy is in the house. Jason Mack, Bitbeard Crypto, Eric Wallen, and if I missed your name, I am so sorry. Adam Delgado as well. We love each and every single one of you. If you are here for the first time, or if you have not hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do it and hit that notification bell so you get more of our content coming to you. Don't want to risk any shadow bans. Don't want to risk this channel being so small that YouTube's just not recommending it. Make sure you go and do that. And then while you're over there, as we discussed yesterday, go ahead and smash that 4-fingered mitten. There's no way that hand has more than 4 fingers. Go ahead and smash that mitten. Let's go ahead and match it up. It's really easy on small channels. We talk about this all the time. When you're this small, you really, really have an easy route to get just as many likes as you got views. So go ahead and smash that like button as we get into it. T-Shroom, before I jump into technical analysis, anything else you want to mention? Are there any other stories I didn't talk about that we're going to be discussing in the show today?
Yes. Ooh. So, I don't know that you did or didn't mention them, but we got a story here. Kevin O Learly is saying that Binance deliberately caused FTX collapse. And then we've got Kathy Woods of ARK Invest snaps up another $11.9 million in Coinbase stock. Bitcoin price poised to continue as rally as whales turn bullish after 14 months. And then we've got the ECB decision and the Bank of England decision.
Yeah.
And a lot of cool stuff like that, including the U.S. Federal Reserve decision. Old Jerome Powell, hooking us up.
A lot to unpack there,
but with some strings attached.
A lot to unpack there. Let's go ahead and do some technical analysis, and I want to actually go ahead and, instead of doing Bitcoin first as we normally do, we're going to go some other places with this. We're going to start with Ethereum TA, and we're going to go ahead and break that down. So Ethereum, of course, just like everything else, rallied heavily in anticipation of the announcement. We weren't really sure what Jerome was going to say. I think everyone knew 50 basis points was coming. I do think there are some people out there that were holding out hope that Jerome was going to come and say, no interest rate hike. We're just going to go ahead and leave it where we're at. But that, of course, did not happen. We rallied right up to a key resistance level, and now we have been falling over the last, of course, it started yesterday during the announcement when we peaked, but of course, we are falling again today. This candle represents ever since last night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're sitting currently back at a level of support on Ethereum. That is interesting, right here around 1,268. Keep your eyes on that. I do think there is a chance, though, that we do go a little bit lower. We're going to talk about Bitcoin here in just a second, but Bitcoin more than likely has a little lower to go. And if Bitcoin's going to go down lower, I would be surprised if Ethereum doesn't follow it at least a little bit. But what I want to do today, and I'm going to show some things on Lux Algo And there's two different things I want to kind of look at here. So we're going to be looking at some moving range stuff. We're going to be looking at volume profile stuff, excuse me. We're going to be looking at Lux Algo action concepts, and we're going to look at the Lux Algo settings themselves, just so you guys know in case mine looks different than yours. On Lux Algo, I am a big fan. It's not perfect, and there's no such thing as perfect, but I'm a huge fan of going to the signal mode and turning on contrarian plus exits. I love it. It calls things a little earlier than others, and like you said, you're going to get some good spots buy right there at the bottom. Of course, we did come back down and touch that level again, but that would have been a great buy right there. It's not perfect. Sometimes you have to delay it a little bit, and there's other ways to follow it, but as a whole, I do not recommend anyone use Lux Algo and just buy and sell based off these signals, but I like where the signals pop up and things they say a lot better on contrarian than I do on traditional. But of course, every single person needs to decide that for themselves. Going back and looking at this Lux Algo price action concepts, this gives us places where there's a significant amount of volume to keep an eye on. I told you guys where we're sitting right now. We're kind of sitting right on top of a key level right there, but we could easily dip down into it. And then if the bears continue to mount up, there's a chance we come all the way back down to lows we did have here a couple weeks ago. Again, I think this would match with Bitcoin kind of having a nice dip back down towards lower towards $16,000 as well, but we will keep your guys posted on that. But right now, what I'm seeing, we don't have necessarily a sell signal that has come in on the daily chart. Our last signal was a buy, but we did hit our head on resistance right there. And of course, with the sentiment in the space right now, it is looking like the direction to be showing is down. Let's look at the oscillators with that really quickly. The only thing I do love that is happening right here, after breaking through the 50 on the daily RSI, we're sitting currently at after breaking through the 50, we're sitting at the 50 right now. So could we kind of find some consolidation there? Do we see confluence of a support level both on the chart and on those oscillators saying, hey, is this a place to bounce? Let me go down and look at the 4-hourly chart and the hourly chart with you guys as well. This is one that's giving us a little bit more of a picture saying, hey, when we're looking at volume, we might need to come down a little bit. Not seeing anything right here on the oscillator, so I'm going to take those down. The level of volume it's actually looking for is to come back down to these bottoms we had around 1,243. This would put us in the middle of this support zone that we now have been building in and staying in since late November. This zone, of course, has been support, resistance, all throughout this bear market bottom. So right now it is support. We do have a sell order on the 4-hourly chart. So that came not at the very peak, not at the very top, but that first mount that we made here a couple days ago. We did have a strong sell order come in, hitting that resistance zone, and now it is saying a take profit level. It's looking at potentially all the way down to 1225, down towards the bottom of this, and the bears really get control again, coming back to those levels, lower 1100s. I'll keep you guys posted on that, not necessarily putting too much weight there as we stand right now, but it is something to keep your eyes on. Lux Algo has been doing a pretty good job with the contrarian signals here on this rally for Ethereum, and again, being under a sell order. My eyes right now, I told you guys, there is support right here at 1269. I'm looking at this little volume pocket right here at 1243 because I do think Bitcoin's going to fall a little bit lower. Therefore, I think Ethereum will as well. Keep you guys posted on that one, though. But Ethereum is moving to the downside. We're not going to go straight to Bitcoin just yet. Let's move over to Cardano, and I'll go ahead and leave all of this stuff up. First of all, Cardano, the cool thing about Cardano, and when I say cool, this isn't what you want to be cool for, Cardano. It is so low and it has had such little rallies. It doesn't really have much lower to go unless it's just going to go ahead and liquidate some people. So I'm not saying we won't go down to 25. We talked about it before. But what it will take is people currently in the space who have been sitting here as strong holders to go ahead and say, you know what, screw it. We're going to go ahead and get out of Cardano. We don't believe it anymore. Which, by the way, is extremely possible based off of the very, very low movement, the low volume, low movement that Cardano has had. It could be that some people that were simply there for the money side of it, not for the fundamentals, not for the community, not for the longevity of that project, because it does have a very long future, a very bright future. It could be people are just tired of holding it for now and sell out. But right now, we continue just to bottom out in this area. Yes, we have some wicks down here, but as a whole, where we're sitting currently is right above 29, 30. Let's just go ahead and say it's 30 cents. That is a flat level we've hit now several times and is a key level of support. And of course, we're sitting right above above it. Let's watch to see if we can rally a little higher. Our last signal was a buy signal right now, and the volume that we have on the 4-hourly chart, it's actually above us. So there's more weight and liquidity pulling us to the upside right now on Cardano than there is pushing us down. Let's go down to the hourly chart just to confirm and see if there's anything down here that would signal that. Yeah, so right now, the only thing when you go to the hourly chart, because when you're using this this Luxago price action concepts, it'll give you different signals based on the hour. There's a little bit of liquidity down here, and guess what? We came down and kissed that. There's nothing below us. So again, barring we have a massive sellout with the, we have a buy signal right here, profit up here. Barring we have a massive sellout, Cardano is sitting at the bottom of what it currently should be. Speaking of sitting at the bottom of where we currently should be, let me turn this off just for a second. I want to show you guys back to Ethereum and back to Cardano, and I want to show you guys something we've been talking about the last couple of days. So Ethereum, let's go to the daily chart. What color is this daily candle we got right here? T-shirt, what color is that?
Rojo.
It's rojo, yes. Thank you for our Spanish lesson. That's Cardano. Ethereum, what color is that candle, that daily chart candle?
Also rojo.
Rojo. What color is that candle?
Verde.
Yeah, there you go. Verde. Yes, this is Algorand. This is Algo. If you guys have been watching the show, I have been talking about now for a little bit. Algorand is one of the better looking coin setups at the moment because of how low it is. And guess what? While almost every other coin and every other thing on my chart, save maybe for the dollar, has been red today following that news from the Fed, Algorand is green. Why? It is sitting at major support level on several different places. First of all, we have this support level right here that we've now been in for a little bit. Why? It's acting like I deleted something. I definitely had more lines drawn up here, but it is not. I don't know why those are not popping up. Either way, I'm going to keep moving on. Not only are we sitting at support level right now on Algorand, both based off of a falling level of support. Let's look at some other things. Our oscillators have been setting up bullish RSI divergence for a while now. We have massive green clouds in our Luxago oscillator saying that we are overextended to the downside and it is time to go ahead and rally up. Let's go ahead and pull up our Luxago concepts and our Luxago indicators and look what's happening there. First of all, we had our buy signal on the daily chart just come in here a couple of days ago. And again, on the daily chart, we're well below the lowest point of liquidity it wants us to really look at. Let me take my oscillators down here for a second, with a take profit level all the way up here at 37 cents. Now, this is the daily chart. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. That is pretty high to shoot for right now, but keep your eyes mind on that. We're looking at if we can get through this little pocket of volume right here. We're looking at the profit zone up actually 41 cents. That's where it next wants to go, up towards these peaks we had back here early November, which is absolutely doable. That is literally just a month and some change ago, and Algorand's had this massive drop, but has had some great fundamentals coming into space, is looking very good for traders on the chart, and it could go to the upside. Let's look at the 4-hourly chart really quickly, see what's happening here. We do have a couple of pockets. Yes, we're still below, but we do have a couple of pockets of liquidity sitting right above us, right here around 22, almost 23 cents. And again, right there, the 4-hourly chart, which has a buy signal saying take profit around this level at 24 cents. This would also put us at a resistance level. So more realistically, I think what you could expect, let's say you were either in a long already on Algo or you are on to enter one right now, there's still room to the upside. And I think that more than likely, there's a good reason to believe we could get all the way up here towards 24 cents. Possibly then there's a cool off as it starts to regroup and change the trend. Over the last couple of weeks, we've seen bullish trends in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, but Algorand has been bearish a little bit. So if anything, it looks like Algorand is actually trading as an inverse to the rest of the crypto space right now. So as we're potentially preparing for a cooling off period of these other coins that have been on rally, it would make sense that Algo, which has been falling over the last couple of weeks, now it's turned to rally and people are going to shift some money over to that. So this is just really cool what I was seeing here on the chart. Again, we at the very bottom of this, I was talking about how good this chart looked. And now that we've seen the Fed announcement, just watching everything else go red, but Algo go green is very encouraging for anyone who maybe listened to that and went ahead and entered some longs over there. But let's go ahead and switch. It's 9:18 because I have a couple things I want to talk about with Bitcoin. Let's go over here and go to Bitcoin. Papa Crypto. This is the biggest of the cryptos. And by the way, I'm going to get a little swig of water. T-Shirt, do you have any thoughts?
And while he's doing that, yeah, I'm going to remind you all how grateful I am that you're tuning in. Seriously, we have had a long road to get where we are today. And it's been a lot of fun, to be honest, but it's also been hard. And I'm just so grateful that you are here with us. I'm talking about the Eric Wallens. I'm talking about the Cryptex. I'm talking about the Mitch Shaw. I'm talking about TA. Let's get back to it.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, here we go. Thank you for that, T-Shroom. Bitcoin. This is something we've been talking about when we're doing technical analysis. I was really hoping. Hope is, a fun word. I was really hoping we would stay above 17,600. Why? Because this is the level of that 0.786 Fibonacci level on the grand scheme. And we're looking at all of the last bull market back from the pandemic all the way up to the top in November. Coming back down, 0.786 levels is sitting right at 17,600. Traditionally, historically, when we get to the 0.786 level, we use it as support, then we drop below it, and then we hover below it for some months before finally conquering it. I was hoping that based off of our rally going before the Fed announcement, maybe we would see some stuff that gives us some good futuristic opinions from Jerome Powell. That would, at worst, I did expect us to dip afterwards, but at worst, just bring us back down there. But we have this morning dropped below 17,600, and I don't think we are done. Sitting here on the 4-hourly chart, you guys are going to notice, yes, we're sitting right at the 50, so that's encouraging. But look at our Lux-Algo oscillator. We're still very high. I think the red cloud has technically gone away, but we are overextended. Moving to the hourly chart, even the hourly chart, we're not really sitting in a place. Yes, the Lux-Algo oscillator is starting to flow with that green cloud saying maybe we're overextended a little bit, but we're not even yet down to the 30 on the RSI on the hourly chart, which makes me believe that I think there's a chance we at least come down to this blue level somewhere around 17,300. Let's look at, before I pull up Lux Algo and stuff, let's also look at our fixed range volume profile, potentially look at some points that could be key. Even before I pull it up, just keep your eyes on these peaks that we had in price action. So 17,400, right down here to 17,300, and then coming all the way into the 17,200. I'm watching those levels as well because those were former resistance levels that potentially the bulls will say, all right, well, bears, you rejected us at these levels. Now we're going to reject you at these levels as you try to push us down lower. But let's go ahead and pull up our fixed range volume profile. I'm going to go pretty much use the entire time frame that we've been in this dip. And right now, the main place, the highest level, and you're probably going to see this reflected when I pull up the Lux Algo concepts as well, but 16,958, right below 17,000, that is the highest point. It is going to take a good push from bears, bearish narrative in the news, lack of confidence in the space from the average retail investor to get us below that point. But there are several points to keep an eye on before that. First of all, right here, right around 17,158, like we talked about 17,200, that's going to be a level to keep your eyes on, sitting really close to those points. And then it's hard to see, because I had a lot of price action going here. But if we're sitting right now at 17,500, give or take, there's another point right here on 17,400. These are all going to be levels to watch. Are they hard to break through? Not necessarily, but I also don't know how significantly the bears have control. I just think this is a place where a lot of bulls got disappointed yesterday because they were expecting Jerome Powell to give the 50 basis point and then almost give us this rah-rah speech and saying, hey guys, we're fixing it. Everything looks good. We're right on schedule. The economy's great. But instead, Jerome Powell, we'll talk more about this in a second. Jerome Powell kind of gave us hey, I'm glad the number went down, but we got a long way to go. And we actually still are holding that we got to go higher than we originally thought with this interest rate overall. We'll talk about those numbers here in just a second. For those reasons, it was a massively hawkish thing that's going to give some powers back to the bear. The question is how much? We're not really sure. So my first thing I'm watching in terms of a rising level of support, I am keeping my eyes on this blue line that has been support for us for a while now. But if we fall below that, keep your eyes on potentially this level right here, right below 17,000. But let's go ahead and pull up Lux Algo for just a second, and then we will discuss what it is saying here. We'll pull up the concepts. We'll pull up the Lux Algo indicator. First of all, this is another thing I think I told you guys the other day. Even when we were rallying, it surprised me, and it was just a little too fast, and I knew there'd be a cool-off period. All right, now my Lux Algo is not loading. Why don't you want to load Lux Algo? It's showing me that, okay, I don't know why. It doesn't want to work with Bitcoin at the moment. I'm gonna have to, you guys are gonna take my word for this. It flashed a sell signal at this peak right here. And yes, we kept going up, but like I said, contrarian sell signals, they're really good. And I wish I could show, this sucks that it's not pulling up right now, because I was gonna show you guys the history. Buy signals during this bear market have been a little lagging. Like buy signals, you'll see it and then it still drops a little bit. The sell signals that the contrarian Lux Algo signal has been showing have been phenomenal this entire bear market. So when I saw that, I was like, ooh, that's not a good sign for Bitcoin. But we'll just stick with what Lux Algo will give us right now, and that's our action concepts. I'll figure out why it's not loading here in a second. On the 1 hourly chart, we don't have anything. Like we hovered right there on this pocket around 17,700. Most of you probably know that. You probably were watching that level. We actually got below it and we're using it as resistance. The next pocket we're looking at on the hourly chart is all the way down at 17,100, kind of pushing more towards that 17,000 we were talking about here just a little bit ago. And if that cannot hold, now we're talking about coming down towards that 16,700. Let's see what the 4 hourly chart is saying, if it's any different. I mean, obviously it's going to be different, but it's giving it's giving its weight to that $17,000 level. So right in this level between 16,891, which is what we were talking about, and 17,000, about 100 give or take. That corresponds to what we're seeing over here, that this level right here more than likely will be hit. Again, hold out some hope for this rising level of support, but when I'm looking at these pockets of liquidity and not necessarily seeing too much in between, maybe that peak can hold up with this blue line right around 17,400. Lux Algo though is going to say like, hey, there's more liquidity to come down here and pull around 17,000. Maybe 100 is the right place to go. Let me know what you guys think about that. There is something though that I want to go ahead and get in, and this is going to bleed a little bit into our market open. So T-Shroom, I apologize. Do not hate me and get angry and then throw your body across the desk to tackle me because I didn't let you go live at 9:30. Let's go ahead and talk about what the title of this video is actually all about. This is an article I was found this morning while I was scrolling through. Bitcoin price is poised to continue its rally as whales turn bullish after 14 months. What does that mean, Tim? What do you mean the bulls have turned bullish? Now, even if you come down here, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys on a cheat sheet what I'm looking at with the graph. This is very confusing. If you're looking at this, so Bitcoin price is kind of measured in these bars kind of thin right here. Bitcoin holders, so what we're looking at here to consider a whale is anyone who holds between 100 and 10,000 coins on Bitcoin. You guys are noticing it's that green line. It's been falling this whole time. Yes, it's starting to rally here a little bit. We'll talk about that. But the other thing is looking at all of these other lines, blue, yellow, orange, red. If you guys want to screenshot your screen right now, you can take a deeper look at this. But ultimately, these are stable coins, or these are places where whales are accumulating dry powder, preparing themselves. And even though this is not that impressive, what we're seeing down here when it comes to Bitcoin holdings, what this article is breaking down is that over the last 9 days, we're seeing whales, and that is people that hold between 100 and 10,000, not only grow in number because we're seeing more whales starting to develop, meaning people who are holding 90 or 80 or 50, or maybe they're new, I don't know. They have become whales by getting into that $100,000 level. But not only that, but the level of total volume of Bitcoin being held. What the heck is?
Just keep going.
All right. One of the normal levels of being held, the whole price is rising as a whole. That whole field is rising, which means whether the bottom is actually in or not, whales, Bitcoin whales, are starting to accumulate as if the bottom is in or is extremely close. And even as you're looking at these this is Tether, and this is Binance USD, and this is DAOs, this is dry powder that is sitting at an all-time high, or sitting at a very high level, waiting to be deployed into something. Let's break down some of the details of this article. I don't need to be that zoomed in, though, I don't think. So, one of the questions asked here, are Bitcoin whales signaling a trend reversal? Let me see. I don't want to read the whole thing. I kind of explained a lot of this. But sentiment reports that sharks and whale addresses have spent $726 million buying Bitcoin in the last 9 days. In addition, 159 new addresses with the value of 100. I kind of broke that down for you guys as well. So again, we have more money from whales coming in the space. We also have more accounts being classified as whale coming in the space. That is a massively bullish sign. Let me look here. I'm going to go through it. I wish I had my same tool that T-Shroom has when I can highlight things. But this is the highest, as the article implied, this is the highest we've seen this whole account in the last 14 months. There we go. We're talking about the dry powder that they're building up, that they're getting ready to deploy. All right, so the point I wanted to make was a little earlier, I guess, in the article. So again, here's levels it's talking about supporting the 17,200, 17,400. We talked about on those charts. These are levels that even these whales are kind of looking at to potentially make their predictions as well. All right, I guess that's the breaking down the article. And I thought there was something else of significance here, and if I see it, I'll mention to you guys down the road. Long story short, you can go off my screen now, T-Shrew, and look at that. I'm gonna get you right in time for your 9:30 slot. Long story short, is the bottom in on Bitcoin? Literally nobody knows. But one of the greatest things we can do to help us better understand if it's coming or not is looking at smart money, looking at these whales. These are not the ridiculously wealthy billionaires who don't even really pay attention to their stuff that much. They said somebody else do it. And this is not the average retail investor. These are people who are wealthy. They know what they're doing with their money. They buy at the right times. They sell at the right times. They move their stuff around in the correct way. And they are preparing themselves as if the bottom is in. So is the bottom in? We don't know the answer to that. They don't know the answer to that. But it's close enough that they feel comfortable with their risk to get their dry powder set up, to get their Bitcoin holding set up. They're going ahead and accumulating more right now. Even though we're seeing all this other bearish stuff happening, there's something that they're seeing in the market that's telling them, hey, it is time to start accumulating. So whether or not the bottom is actually in and we trade sideways, whether the bottom is very close and we only go down to like maybe 14,500, it is showing the signs that the whales are ready to buy, and that should be great news to any Bitcoin holders' ears out there. T-Shroom, that was a whole lot, but do you have any thoughts there, or do we want to just go ahead and jump into our market open and we can jump back into that discussion here in just a second?
No, absolutely. I think this is a really, really big article here, guys, and I'm going to spend a little bit more time on it too, because I had some things highlighted, and maybe there's some things that were I can highlight here further. So in total, there are currently close to 16,000 addresses holding between 100 and 10,000 Bitcoin. In comparison, there are currently 43 million smaller Bitcoin addresses, which means that sharks and whales account for 0.0364 of the total Bitcoin addresses. The increase in shark and whale addresses is the fastest growth in 10 months, according to the sentiment. Remarkably, this comes at a time when market sentiment is at its lowest in a long time following the FTX bankruptcy and Binance FUD. So what would be a great supplement to this? Well, none other than the Fear and Greed Index, which actually has been trending away from extreme fear. As you'll see here, last month, extreme fear 22, and now it's 31. So this is actually not too bad. The whales seem to have got in at a time where extreme fear was pretty intense, and now extreme fear is kind of waning. So that's pretty significant. We're actually going to go ahead and let's go ahead and just check on the markets here. And Tim did a great job with that article. I just wanted to round out some of the details.
We talked about before the show. I need to download that tool. I had it on my old computer, haven't downloaded it yet to highlight. But I think I summarized the points in a.
I think you did too.
I gave the meat.
I think you did a great job, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Let's go over to the trad markets and check them out. Yes, we'll get to natural gas, but let's start off with our market open here. The SPY, and I've added the SPY and the SPX here because this SPX, this is the actual price of a share of the index of the S&P, but this is an ETF that tracks it as well. Sorry to get confusing here, but I've only had this one up here traditionally, but since I have these, which are accurate prices of the Nasdaq and the Dow Jones, I figured I'd get the full three-piece set. So the important part here, though, is the percentage. Everything's down because of the rate, not because of the rate lowering, but because of the press briefing afterwards, which was more hawkish. So the indexes are coming in here, cutting losses from yesterday, making losses from yesterday's gains, and this is a good time to be in a short ETF of these indexes, which SQQQ is probably one of the better ones you could be in, as you can see, up 5%. So would have been a good time to take a trade to the downside for equities. Energy, U.S. oil's down today, starting at least down today. Natural gas up slightly. This is slightly for natural gas. Natural gas is extremely volatile. So it's up slightly today. That's good for my longs. I won't go into the details on that again. Maybe a little bit later if we have time. But crypto starting off red as well, except Atom, which always seems to be cutting it even. And so that's pretty good. You can see here, let's see who's leading the path down is Ethereum and Litecoin to some extent. But yeah, mostly Ethereum's leading the path down, at least out of my watch list. And then there are metals, silver, getting cut off big time here. Might actually take a look at that chart really quick because that's a pretty significant move. And I've been waiting for an entry point in silver for a lot of reasons. Maybe I'll do a video on it soon, but I think silver is probably going to be a good hedge play going into 2023 for a variety of reasons. But I think that there could be some scary talk, guys, around the regulation of crypto. And I think that there could be potentially some selling. And where is that money going to go? Well, in lieu of a recession, in lieu of more rate hikes, it could potentially go into precious metals, into those ultra safe, ultra low risk assets. But moving on here, let's take a look at gold as well. Also getting a nice little haircut here in the morning, but finding a nice place to bounce. Now, what I will point out is a lower low here from the 12th when it put in a low. But overall, still, it looks like it has broken this line of support here, which is not great for gold. So, silver definitely looks like the better play today. But we'll have to keep track of that in terms of buying, because that doesn't look like it's broken its line of support as much. And maybe it'd be helpful if I actually drew some lines. How about that? Yeah, there we go. So might be a little easier on a line chart, because this is, so you can see it's got a little ways to go before it comes back down and taps that, and this is on linear, not log. Let's take a look here at the mega cap stocks. Mega cap tech. We got Microsoft, we've got Apple, and they're all down. And I believe so Tesla's actually not down as much. That's a little bit remarkable, because yesterday it was leading the big tech market down, lower.
I'm surprised it's not down too. I saw an article in passing that Elon sold like over $3 billion worth of stock in Tesla.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm surprised it's not down.
I saw that as well. I think probably there's a lot going on there. I don't really keep track of the Tesla story too much.
I mean, the way Elon, maybe it's because Elon's been very adamant about it. He only liquidates when he needs cash. Like when he liquidated Bitcoin, he even was saying like part of that was, so they liquidated Bitcoin at one point because of environmental impact, and then they liquidated later and said like it was about liquidity, or it was earlier. They liquidated some and it was about liquidity of Bitcoin, just showing it liquidity. They needed the cash or something else. They had no indication. I'm imagining what it is maybe there's something. I mean, we know he's working on a lot of stuff on Twitter right now. Maybe he's like, hey, let me sell some stocks over here on Tesla and put some money over here into Twitter on this new project we're working on.
Yeah, I'm gonna. It's tough. It's hard to find motivation to look into the Tesla stories, because I am just so engrossed with crypto and with energy. But it's hard to escape it. You're going to hear about what's going on over at Tesla. So, taking a look here at the chat, I saw some pretty interesting stuff. Jaboy17 said, "Go Atom, my biggest bag, 400 coins." So Jaboy having a lot of exposure to Atom. I honestly got to say that Atom is not the worst coin you could be.
No, it's not the worst.
It's definitely not the worst coin that you could be exposed to here, even though it is. It's kind of down there on the alt list. It's something that I have some confidence in. The way that they are really innovating in the interoperability space. And their branding isn't too flashy. There's really not been a whole lot of talk of scandal around Atom like there has with Solana or even Binance these days. It doesn't mean that it's not going to swing down with the rest of the crypto market. It absolutely will. But, as we've seen day in and day out, it has not been leading the market lower. Doesn't mean it doesn't take losses. It does, but it hasn't been leading the market lower. It's not a lot of fear in the Atom world. So potentially a good altcoin to be interested in, to be looking into. Mid caps. So this is not a comprehensive representation of mid cap equities by any means, but these are down, and DraftKings leading the way there. So then you've also got the cannabis stocks going lower, and Canopy Growth going markedly lower there, unfortunately. And then big oil. It was the only green sector on my watch list that was green yesterday, and in the morning open at least. I reported on that, but now it's red, just like the rest of everything. So what is green? Let's go take a look. Well, the Dixie's green. The reverse indexes are green. Tesla's green, interestingly enough. Another reverse index is green. This is an oil reverse index, a reverse ETF. So the only things that are really green is natural gas and Tesla. So if you're not counting the reverse ETF. So that's going to be our market open, guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at some stories that are impacting the market this morning. And obviously, a lot of those are going to surround the central banks of the world that all gave their decisions yesterday and this morning. But before we do that, let's look at the Asian markets, which all closed lower. They all closed lower, and the Hang Seng leading the way down there. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong, which we have some news about Hong Kong, don't we? Yeah,
and we're not going to be able to talk about it much. Let's just mention it.
Yeah, let's just mention it.
Yeah, Hong Kong is opening up the first. And we had a discussion about this morning on the significance of this. The fact that it's in China, the fact that China's been going back and forth about its policy on Bitcoin. This is great news. Hong Kong is opening in its first ever. It's not a spot ETF, but a futures ETF for Bitcoin. So again. Is it the first futures ETF in the world? No. Is that going to break any ground? No. But the fact that Hong Kong in China is doing this is very, very good for the sentiment of Bitcoin over there. Again, another place for there to be more money and liquidity coming into the space. So it'll be really cool. Again, we're not going to go too much deeper into it, but it was a good mentionable that China is still, it's ridiculously confusing on what they really think about Bitcoin, but we'll take the bullish news when we can get it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's a head scratcher because you're thinking China and Bitcoin. How can this even be under consideration? Well, it is. So we'll be reporting on that more and more. But going back to this market open chart here, Europe also opening. It's closing at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, and right now it is bleeding the markets over there with the CAC, the French ETF there, leading the market down 2.5, more than 2.5. So not great right there. And then as you can see, the Americas markets here going down into a couple minutes into close. So that's going to be your open here. And let's go ahead and check out what the central bank decisions were. This one was the most recent, I believe. ECB, you got this rate decision this morning. ECB hikes rates, not a surprise there, but seeing significant increases ahead as it announces plan to shrink balance sheet. So kind of the biggest takeaway here was the European Central Bank opted for a smaller rate hike at its Thursday meeting, taking its key rate from 1.5 to 2%. It also said that from the beginning of March of 2023, it would begin to reduce its balance sheet by 15 billion euros or $16 billion per month on average until the end of the second quarter of 2023. And then one more thing to note here, a quote from the ECB saying, the governing council judges that interest rates will still have to rise significantly at a steady pace to reach levels that are sufficiently restrictive to ensure a timely return of inflation to the 2% medium-term target, the ECB said in a statement.
He pretty much just had a phone call with Jerome Powell and said, what are we saying this month?
Yeah.
Let's say the same thing.
Yeah. And by he, you mean she.
She, I don't know. Okay.
Which was,
right.
I mean, it doesn't really matter who it is.
Yeah.
Because this is all being filtered through piles and piles of spreadsheets and like what they actually decide. But I cannot remember her name. Lagarde?
I don't know her name either.
Something Lagarde. I can't remember her first name. Let's see. It's not in the, why isn't it in the title? Anyway. Maybe she's trying to go under the radar there a little bit. Well, moving across the sea there, what is it, the Bering Strait? What is the strait?
I don't know
between
if you
Europe and the
mean
UK?
to or not. You're on me the whole time.
Well, you're just a better looking guy.
I don't know about that, but I appreciate the compliment.
Bank of England hikes key rate by 50 basis points and will continue to respond forcefully if needed. So having hit a 41-year high in October, the annual rise in the UK Consumer Price Index slowed to 10.7 in November. New figures revealed Wednesday. Now let's pause. 10.7. Ours is what right now? What was the latest CPI print? Do you remember?
Our latest CPI was 7.1.
7.1. Yeah. So they're still over there. They're in double digits. I don't think that we ever actually got to double digits.
No, we got
like 9.3 was our high, right?
Was it 9.3 or 9.6? Maybe 9.6 was an expectation.
Yeah. So it's
one of those numbers.
It's they've got a little rougher over there for sure. But the bank finds itself in an increasingly tough spot as the emerging recession and financial stability concerns are balanced against ongoing wage pressures which risk embedding inflation. So things are not looking good over there across the pond, and it's gonna take some time before all this heals. But across the board, we're seeing rate hikes still, but we are seeing a decreased rate in the rate hike. So this was the big one, obviously, yesterday. If you don't know about this, then we're really glad that you're tuned in, because you're at the right place at the right time, tuned in. And the Federal Reserve raises interest rates to highest since 2007 and sees higher rates in 2023. And Jerome Powell, cool, calm, and collected. I listened to a decent amount of the meeting yesterday, of the press briefing. Cool, calm, and collected as usual, but pretty hawkish. Definitely, as we saw with our market open analysis this morning, has not sent companies higher. Companies are not bullish on this. One of the main stories right now in the market is, what is the margin going to be like for all these companies as they're having to spend more and more money on interest going forward, to borrow money, to invest in more infrastructure, to buy bigger pallets of whatever their raw materials are. Are the earnings going to start being less and less? Are companies going to start missing earnings? And could that be, a really, really big story going forward? Not just the labor side, and the erosion and the softening of the labor markets. Could it also, it's not could, it will, it's just a matter of by what degree will the earnings start to come down. In 2021, earnings were a saving grace, especially in Q3, as, markets were really starting to get kind of freaked out. Equity markets were starting to get freaked out. Well, the earnings came in stronger than what was expected. So that was able to keep equity prices buoyed for a little while. Let's take a look at what was discussed here. So said the highest interest rate since 2007. So you can see here, we have far surpassed the 2019 levels here, 2.5, and we're closing in quite rapidly here on those 2006 levels. Well, in 2007, they're right. This is about where it was. So we're this chart sucks, but it's the one that we're working with here. I can zoom in a little more. It might probably be a little better. That's better. So you can see 2007, it was right at, and the article's not lying here. Of course, this is what it is. It's 2000. It's meeting those 2007 levels. So, it's looking like, the terminal rate is kind of targeted at where we were in 2007 here. Yeah. 2006, 2007 to your point, Tim, I kind of want to take a look at your notes that you had, because you were able to concentrate much more on what the notes from that press briefing. Before we go to that, I just want to show you guys here. So these are the big ones around the world. Pretty much the top three are the only ones that matter. Maybe the Bank of Japan a little bit too. But so these are the funds rates for the world central banks. ECB leading is the cheapest, right? So you can get money at the cheapest level still in the ECB. At least of the top three. Bank of Japan, you can still get it the cheapest because it's negative there. That's a nice little hash mark for people who are looking to borrow in Japan. But so Tim, what were your notes? What was your takeaway from that Fed meeting yesterday?
So a couple of details in case anyone wasn't able to watch it and just kind of heard more about it. A couple of things that Jerome Powell said are really important to take away. First of all, the goal at this point for them to get up to is 5.1. Of course, there's no such thing as 5.1. You have to get between a range. What he's saying is they're going to try to get to about 5 to 5.25. In that range, they have to be there at some point in the year is what he really wants to do. In case you're not doing the math right now in your head, that's another 75 points after this 50 we just did. Now, there was a plot that we talked about yesterday on the show that says that their predictions as a team, as the Fed, their thought is that they'll end 2023 sitting at about 4.875. So that's actually down. So at some point they want to be between 5 to 5.25. but they want to end the year at 4.75 to 5, which means more than likely towards the end of the year, I don't know if there's a December date. I'm not looking at their calendar in front of me, but I think that they're going to actually end up doing some sort of cut later in the year. But there is going to be an additional 75 points, in which case I made a short yesterday, didn't get a lot of views, and the YouTube just didn't put it out there. I'm wondering right now, if you go to my screen real quick, right now we got 6 weeks, almost give or take 7 weeks until we get a number. 94% chance we're going to do a 25 basis point hike. 5% chance they actually leave February. Nothing. We're just going to pause. I don't think that's likely. I do think 25 is at least what they're going to do, hence the reason why it's 94%. But I even think, we got 7 weeks to decide this, I think there's a chance, T-Shroom, that he goes 50. Because another thing that he said through it is not just that they want to get to 5.1, it's that they want to get there quickly. That they don't know, it's not just about getting there, because when you think about it, 75 more points isn't really that many more points. It's about how long they have to be that high. Mm-hmm. And if he wants to tackle this correctly, it would make a lot of sense to do another 50 in February, and then in March do a 25, and then just pause for the whole year, hold off until November or December, whatever the last one is of the year, and then do a 25-point cut. That's what he was laying out that he thinks needs to happen, and here are some of his reasons. Now, of course, we talked about, yes, inflation was down, but he talked about how their whole, as a voting unit, they had a lot of things that they're looking at that they're discouraged about right now. They don't think they've tackled inflation. One of the things he talked about very heavily, so we need to keep our eyes on it, is the housing market. And specifically, what he's talking about is rent, because we know that real estate is going to start dropping. We know that real estate is going to start falling here soon, but what he's discussing is the renters. And yes, newer rent options might lower, but people who are renewing leases and renewing rents and renewing things, those will actually still be going up because maybe they've been in that leasing option for a while. His expectation, the Fed's expectation, is that the cost of housing will increase. And so for those reasons, he's saying, I'm not satisfied with what we're currently seeing. We do know that oil was down this month, and oil should be down again next month. Like when we get our numbers here in January, more than likely you're going to see that oil comes down as well, but it might not come down as much as we hope it would. And also, again, with the housing potentially going up, he is very, very concerned that we're not close to tackling inflation. So for those reasons, he's not letting off the gas pedal and not cutting back, not doing what Elon wants to do and go and cut rates to provide for the recession. He mentioned the numbers on unemployment and how I think the number he gave was that there are still technically 4 million job openings right now. Mm-hmm. So yes, unemployment is, I think someone said unemployment hit a new number. I can't remember what that number is, both based off our last reading. Mm-hmm. But there are still more job openings right now than there are people unemployed. Mm-hmm. Of course, he didn't go into detail on that. I was on Twitter yesterday. I responded to Wendy O, pretty much saying that those 4 million jobs, more than likely are the crappy, low-paying, no one can live off of these types of jobs. These are the jobs you get in high school just to pass the time and make some extra money so you can buy your video games. As long as 4 million of those jobs remain open, in Jerome Powell's mind, the labor market still has too much supply to demand, and he needs to lower that. So he's pretty much implying there's going to be more pain. That's why it was so hawkish. He doesn't like where inflation is. He still thinks the economy in a bad way is too strong. Like he pretty much saying we're not going to change until we see worse stuff happening in the economy. He talked about how he's like, if you look around tech industries, I don't know who he's talking to. He said, if you look around tech industries and other job places, we've been discussing things with employers. Nobody wants to lay people off. Everyone's trying to keep everyone employed. That's not true. I have several relationships.
They don't want to.
Well, but he's almost implying like these employers are not laying people off. They're not firing people. And I'm like, all right, maybe they're not doing it in the same level as what we saw back in 2008, but there definitely are layoffs. I did see a comment, I think on Twitter yesterday, maybe it was this morning, I don't remember, but someone did say, hey, here's how we'll know that there's a pain in the job market. I guess he owned, I think it was Florida Investing Man or something. He said like when lawyers are showing up asking to get a job on the back of a truck, that's when you know there's pain in the labor market. And if that's what pain is, then yes, we're not there yet. And that makes sense. My dad was an architect, and he ended up taking these, like my dad, to he got laid off in 2008, and he took jobs as like refereeing high school volleyball games, doing housing inspections that did not pay very much. Like, so they're right. There are people with very, very respectable jobs who will lose those jobs and take anything they can get if we're going to see real pain. So that point, I do agree. I do agree that as much pain as we have been seeing here, it is not anywhere close to what we saw back in 2008, and I'm hoping we do not go there, which kind of begs the question. Here's the thing. I know it's ridiculous, and I know a lot of people are going to just kind of say they're going to scoff at this, but Jerome Powell made it seem, first of all, he said that we're not in a recession, which is a little bit crazy, but he also said that he still believes there's a chance for a soft landing. And I know it's easy to scoff at that, T-Shroom, but especially when we're thinking about that, if we can keep things better than 2008, and maybe that's what he's thinking, that as long as things don't get as bad as 2008, that we can consider the pain and the thing a soft landing. That is an interesting thing. So I'm not trying to defend Jerome Powell. I'm not trying to say he's doing a great job or anything, but I do think it's interesting, and it is a fair point that things are not as bad as sometimes we grumble, and I'm willing to continue to watch before I just judge him and say that he's flopped this into it. I'm willing to concede and say maybe there's a chance that we still make some form of a soft landing. Maybe that soft landing is not as soft as some of us would hope it would be, but it's still possible we could have a soft landing. Yeah,
I think so too. I mean, what is it? Gareth Soloway is thinking that S&P is going to go down to 3,000, and I think that's definitely well within the cards of like what could potentially happen. But I think that we have a lot of leaders in this country, especially in the economy. I think Elon's kind of at a low point right now. He's been battered, he's been bruised, right? And so I think that there's definitely the potential for something to come back. Now, we had two more headlines here that I wanted to mention before we get out of here. Kathy Wood of ARK Invest, Kathy Wood's ARK Invest snaps up another $11.9 million in Coinbase stock. So Kathy,
she still believes,
is not letting down. Look at her there. Look at that smile. That's a smile of confidence. And I'm sure that she was thinking that exact thing about Thinking Coin when she about buying Coinbase.
Thinking Coin.
Thinking Coin. I'm just going to stop there with that one.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other one, which is pretty big, is that Kevin O Learly here is saying that Binance deliberately caused FTX collapse.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the big story of the day. You'll be seeing all around the YouTubes, all around the Twitter. We wanted to talk about, the whales and that are buying up so that you could, have a little bit of hope, but also get educated on something that's actually going on there that's reflected in the blockchain. So it's really, really important to know that for sure. We just want to mention those headlines.
We might go deeper into that tomorrow. Of course, it's 9:56. We're starting to wrap up the show, and we have a couple of important announcements for you guys. So we're going to do the best we can to start making sure we're ending right at 10 o'clock. But we'll talk a little more about Kevin O Learly. That story is not over, by the way. Kevin O Learly has a lot more to do. So if you guys are thinking like, oh, if we don't talk about it today, we never will. It's like, no, that'll continue to develop. So a couple of announcements we need to make sure you guys all know. First of all, we got 60 people watching, 63 likes. I don't know if any of you have not smashed that like button, but if you have not, go ahead and smash that like button if you guys enjoyed today's stream. It was a great one. I enjoyed researching it and getting all that stuff put together for you. But some announcements we do need to let you guys know. So next week before Christmas, we will have a Monday and Tuesday show. But on Wednesday, probably Tuesday night is when I think I'm leaving, but I think T-Stream might be leaving early Wednesday. We will both be going and spending some time with our family. We've talked to you guys before. We're investing bros. You guys are investing bros. We are here to invest. But if you are just letting your entire life revolve around crypto and investing, you're not going to make it success. You're not going to be successful. And maybe you make a lot of money, but if your success is just having a lot of money in your account and not having close relationships with your family and having a holistically healthy life, then I don't consider that success. So one of the greatest things you can do to be healthy and to grow is to go spend time with family. And so T-Stream and I are going to be doing that. We're going to be taking time off from Wednesday. What date is that? The
21st.
The 21st. So we're going to be taking off the first day of winter. How about that? From the 21st through the 26th. So the day after Christmas, we will not have a show, but we'll be back on the 27th. So if anyone's wondering and you wake up Wednesday morning on the 21st, and you're like, oh, where are the investing bros? We are spending time with family.
We're still
and
investing.
And
we're just investing in our family. definitely.
I mean, I still might, like if something breaking happens, might make a short or might post on Twitter, but we just will not have our live show in the morning because we're not going to be here in the live show studio. So important note there for you guys. Also, another important note, I'm going to be on today. I'm not sure if it's a live show right at 11 or if it's a pre-recording, but I'm actually here at 11 and going to be going on and doing the show with Paul Barron. So make sure you keep an eye out. If you're not subscribed to Paul Barron, great guy, great channel. So go subscribe and keep a lookout for my face on one of those thumbnails.
Look at that.
To go watch.
Look at that. Look at that banner that he's got. Crypto, tech, and investing over there at Paul Barron.
Yeah.
What more could you want?
I'm excited. I'm excited.
I mean, it's not investing bros, but it's pretty good.
Last one, and then we'll let you guys out of here. We have been working behind the scenes with Cryptex. You guys see Cryptex and Jeffrey Fritz. Well, CryptoSec guy. So CryptoSec guy and Cryptex have been working with us. We are setting up a Discord, and it's not ready to go live yet, but I wanted to let you guys know it is coming very soon. We're working on some really cool features over there for community, for research, for you guys to stay up to date on everything you need to know, not just having to wait for the morning show every morning, which is phenomenal, and you get to hear and look at the technical analysis and hear the news, but you guys can be able to interact with each other and see up-to-date information immediately over in that Discord group. So keep your eyes out for when we announce that. I'm super excited about it. We're going to have a lot of cool features and things in there. Different levels. We'll probably have connecting with Patreon. We'll probably have some levels for you guys to interact with us on a more consistent basis. But even the free version of it is going to be phenomenal. You don't want to miss it. So keep posted for when we get our Discord up and running. With that said, though, that is all we have for you guys in this show. We love all of you guys. Thank you so much for choosing us in this 9 to 10 slot to spend your morning. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.